Hi, my name is James Cope. I'm a music instructor by trade in San Jose, California. I'm taking the music production course so that I can make better arrangements of my own music. I've owned all the equipment for some time and I've never really gotten down to just doing it. And using this course as a motivation point. So anyway, today what I'm going to explain to you is how to connect an electric guitar to a digital audio workstation, and I'm actually going to split that signal off so that I'm sending one channel of distorted signal via a microphone out of the amplifier and another line out of the amplifier with a clean signal into the second channel. And I'll demonstrate briefly at the end how we can mix those two sounds together or choose one over the other. So let's get down to it, and thanks for tuning in, and I appreciate your feedback. Have a great day. So the way I'm going to demonstrate this is by simply following the signal flow from the guitar to the digital audio workstation and then eventually out to my keyboards, which I'm actually using the speakers on my keyboards as my monitor today. Like I said, it's a makeshift studio. Or did I say that? Well, it's a makeshift studio. So let's start with the guitar. The guitar has pickups. The pickups send the sound to the output of the guitar, which I plugged a TS cable or an instrument cable into. If we follow that down along the line here, you'll see that that goes into the instrument input on my Cube 60 amplifier. So there's my input right there. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be splitting the signal. And so what's happening here is there's onboard effects on this amplifier, and I've actually got the gain turned up, and I've got a little bit of reverb that I'm putting on the sound of the guitar that you heard when I first started. You could hear that it was a distorted sound. What is happening now is the sound is coming out of the speaker of the Roland, and you can see I have my Shure SM58 microphone here directly pointed right at the source of the sound so that it gets a good pickup, a good strong signal, and it comes out of the SM58 via an XLR cable here. So here's an XLR cable. Well, the XLR cable runs down along the back of the amplifier, and this is the back of my Mbox 2 Mini digital interface or audio interface. This audio interface is connected to Pro Tools, but in the back of this unit you can see here that the XLR is coming in on input 1. I actually have a choice there of a line or a mic input. There's also a mic direct in button here, and there's a pad in case the signal is too strong, we want to cut it back a little bit. And there's also a 48V or phantom power, which with this particular mic is not required. So that you can see now that's how I'm getting the sound from the speaker of the Roland in through the audio interface. Then we'll stop there and we'll follow the other signal to the audio interface before we move on. Okay, so now that we've seen how we got the sound from the amplifier to the audio interface, we're now going to check out how we get the clean sound out of the amplifier. If you look here, it's really hard. It doesn't want to focus up close. But I've got an external speaker output here. I've also got a line out, and I've got a tuner out. Now this is a unique situation I hadn't run into before. I was experimenting with the line out, and the line out actually sends a distorted signal. It actually sends the signal through the effects with the delay, or the reverb rather, and the distortion, and it also is affected, the level of the line out there is affected by the volume knob. So to get an effective level, I had to turn my amp up so loud that it was ridiculous. So I had a thought, what does a tuner out do besides send a signal to a tuner? Well, it sends a clean signal, a line level signal that is not affected by the effects. So I chose to use the tuner out. So I run out of that tuner out and I get a clean guitar signal with no effects at just above line level. So that comes out, and if you see the red cable here, that's channel 2. This is actually channel 2. Channel 2 only has an instrument input on this in the Mbox 2. Again, it's a 2-channel, so the first channel is the XLR sound from the amp. The second channel is the direct line out, or the tuner out in this particular case. And you can see here that I actually have the pad engaged. It's because the signal coming from that line out is just a little hotter than I like, so I actually padded that. And by turning on that pad, I cut the signal down to a better, closer to an actual line level signal. Remember that we want, at this point, we want everything to come in at basically line level, right? So That being the case, let's move on. Okay, so we've got the signals coming, two signals coming into the MBOX Mini. Channel 1, here's the input control, the levels for channel 1, which is the XLR feed from the SM58 microphone. Input 2 is a TS cable coming in from the line out or the tuner out of the Cube 60 amplifier. So you can see there's a couple of other mix knobs here. One of them controls monitor levels versus headphone levels. The other controls the mix levels between what's coming out of the computer versus what's going in. And there's also a monitor mute button here, which he just explained in our class that you want to be muting that monitor. Otherwise, you have that delayed reaction there. There's also a headphone jack here, but we're not using headphones for the purpose of this demonstration. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm sending these signals into the digital audio workstation out of the back of the DigiDesign. There's a FireWire cable here, which runs around into a USB. And there's my digital audio workstation. I'm actually using two lines that you can see are in red right here. That's channel 1 and that's channel 2. And if I just turn the guitar on here and just send a signal, you'll see that I am getting signal there. Now when I actually play, it's going to be a much stronger signal. As a matter of fact, you could see the microphone there is picking up my voice in the room just a little bit on channel 1, which is the XLR. We'll call it channel 1 for the purposes of this demonstration. It's actually several channels, several things going on here, but these two channels I'm using right now for my XLR and my dry tuner out. So now I'm going to go ahead and play. Oh, actually, let's go on to the monitors. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to actually be using my keyboard speakers as my monitors. My monitors are not in this room that I'm using to make this presentation. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to go ahead and use those. So you can see here I've got two instrument cables, two TS cables. Not ideal for running to a monitor, but they're going to function fine. This is a left and a right out, and they come around the ground here. Just trust me, they do. And they go into the input. There's a mono and left and right input here that come into my keyboard. And my keyboard actually has onboard speakers. So when I play and I demonstrate what you're about to hear, you're actually going to hear them coming out of here. Not the highest quality in the world, but they will work for the purposes of this demonstration. And this is, by the way, is a Yamaha P150, in case you want to know. So the end result of my findings, after playing around with the back of the amp and realizing that the tuner out was a clean signal, was that I was able to send a direct signal out of the back of my amp without the effects on board the head. So I'll show you how that works. I've split it off. I've got the XLR running out for the SM58 to one input of my DigiDesign MBOX Mini, and the other channel is running direct out of the tuner out instead of the line out. The line out carries that distorted signal. The tuner out just gives a clean signal that would be designed normally to go to a tuner. Of course, my dog's going to come interrupt now, but that's okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record one chord, just play it out, and let you hear what the two channels sound like. So the first channel, I'm just going to go ahead and kick off my Pro Tools here. Okay, I'm just going to strum a chord. Okay, let's go ahead and stop that. And now what we can hear is the combined signals. Turn my monitor back on here. And what we're going to do is hear both. Let me play that for you one more time, a little louder here. This is both channels playing simultaneously. I got both channels. Now I'm going to mute channel 2 and just play the distorted signal out of the XLR input. This is my amp. Okay, so you got that. Then you'll hear what the direct line signal sounds like by itself. Actually needs to be boosted up a little bit, but we'll worry about that later. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . think of the possibilities that you could bring one way up, one way down, and you can play with those two levels together. Let's bring this one down. Here's my distorted signal lowered significantly, and you can get any kind of blended sound you want to get in your final mix. Something like that. So that's it. That's the end of the demonstration. You've seen how everything got set up. You've heard about my realizations about the back of the amp, and you've heard the end result of 2 channels accepting 2 separate signals from one source. The guitar going through the amp, into the microphone, into the digital audio workstation via the audio interface, and the guitar run into the amp, out through the tuner out instead of the line out, that because of this particular amp model, into another input on a Digidesign, there's a mouthful, box, and giving me the clean signal that I am looking for, or might be looking for. So plenty of options. Have fun with it. Experiment on your own, and love to hear your feedback. Thanks.